Whether you're franchising your business or buying a franchise, one of the keys to success is being in the room with other franchise leaders, learning from the inside, and giving yourself the opportunity to make great decisions. Today, we're going to speak to Max Emmer, founder of Bookskeeping. He's going to talk about his journey as a franchisor and a franchise supplier. Max, we finally get to have this conversation.
Hi, Charles. It's great to be here.
So, background for everyone. Max Emmer and I get to see Max at all the Frank Camp conferences, always focused on two things. What Bookskeeping is doing in terms of being a supplier for franchise brands with accounting, and also he's growing his franchise company and selling franchises. Max, I think you guys are at 18 franchisees right now?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Max, where do we start? Where does Bookskeeping come from? How do you enter the franchise world? Give us some background.
So I came to the United States from the former Soviet Union 34 years ago, started working corporate finance after I got my degree, realized that corporate world is not for me because I was clearly kissing the wrong butt. So I left the corporate world and started a small construction company, grew it to 96 employees, and then lost everything to bankruptcy when we went into recession in 2008, 2009. Even though I had a degree in finance and my wife had master's in accounting, we were so busy growing the construction company, we did not pay attention to our finances. And we said, it would be nice if we had a company doing it on our behalf. But once we went into bankruptcy with one baby at home and one on the way, we had to support, the family. We went to zero income in one day and opened another business. We're more successful. And during this business, we decided that we have to open a bookkeeping brand. And we did open Bookskeeping. A few years in, decided to start doing bookkeeping for one of the franchise brands. Somebody introduced us. We started doing 1, 2, 3. Then we added another brand. And I started going to franchising conferences, as a supplier. And the idea was that you stay in the hall, and when all the franchisees of these brands leave, you try to sell them your services. However, I wanted to be in a room where it happened. So I was in the room listening to franchisors, and I really fell in love with franchising. I just liked the idea. I didn't know anything about franchising. And I started learning more and more. And eventually, I just said, when I grow up, I want to have my own franchise. And I guess I've grown up.
Max, you used a phrase I think is so critical. And being in the room, right? And you did something, I think, very intelligent, which is before you became a franchisor, you put yourself in the room. We get to have a cigar every once in a while. I get to see you at franchise conferences. For everyone out there, and this for business owners like you that are thinking of franchising, it's very difficult, right? They do a Google search, they go speak to AI, they hear consultants, they get lost. I find so many new franchisors, they're wasting capital. They don't know who the right people to trust. What's your advice for a business owner thinking about franchising? And in particular, Max, getting in that room to make the right decision?
Well, first of all, my advice, have enough capital. Getting into franchising is very, very expensive. And from what I've seen, people think if they have budget for your services, Charles, they're covered. I'm like, this is just the beginning. It's mandatory. You have to have a great attorney, but this is just the beginning. From that point on, you have to have enough money for marketing, for advertising, for broker relationship, whatever you do. And if you're going to run out of money 3 months in, then all the money they spent with you, Charles, went down the drain, in my opinion. So you have to have a long-term plan. And I had no idea when I started that franchising is going to be that expensive. So trust me, if I knew what I knew, I probably would still do it, but I would plan better.
Well, and it gets that 5-year growth strategy, Max. I'll speak with brands where they'll say, Charles, last year wasn't a great year for me. I'm like, okay, then why are you franchising? Hold off. Well, I have an opportunity coming about. I'm like, okay, I need legal. All right. Even though I'm recommending you hold off. And then I hear the next statement, which is, I've already hired a franchise consultant and I'm paying them $90,000 to help me franchise my business. And my heart sinks, Max, because I feel like all that capital is being wasted.
I agree. Look, when I started franchising, I was just AI did not exist. I was just reading books. I was talking to other franchisors, and you want to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. At least that's what I've been doing all my life. I still don't know why they hang out with me, but until they say no, I'll continue doing it. But I learned from them, and being in the room with franchisors, as you know, in franchising, people want to help each other. So people actually paying it forward. I mean, I'm not a huge franchisor, I'm still an emerging, but if somebody asks me a question who is behind me, number of units and number of years, I always find time and I always talk to them. Whatever I can do to help. I believe in helping other people. I remember there was one franchise conference, and one of the keynote speakers was a franchisor of one of the largest restaurant brands in the United States. And I stopped this person in the hall and started asking him questions and just said, hey, I think I either had 1 unit or had 0 units at a time. He spent 20 or 30 minutes talking to me, answering the questions and offering help, and then gave me his contact information. Say, hey, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to contact me. So my point is, I was nobody for him, but he just genuinely wanted to help, and I appreciate it very, very much.
Max, again, let's staying with the theme of whoever's watching this video, putting them in the room, right? Getting them the inside track on franchising. Let's shift a moment to franchisees and bookskeeping. If we're putting a potential franchise buyer in this room, our conversation here, and whether it's for bookskeeping or an investment in any franchise, what's your advice to the franchise buyers about how to approach the process?
Don't look just for the numbers. What is your royalty? I'm gonna go with this brand because their royalty is 1% less. What are you getting for your royalties? Just get the whole picture. It's not just the money. If you're looking to buy a franchise, and let's say we're talking about the senior in-home care, from what I understand, there are either 64 or 68 brands in this field. It's pretty competitive. So don't just look at whoever is cheaper by $5,000 in franchise fee and 1% less in royalties. See, what are you getting? What is the training? What is the support? Do they provide the call center? There are a lot of questions that you can ask and decide who is the best option for you. And look, right now with AI, it's easier because if you don't know what questions to ask, you can either talk to somebody who has been in franchising for a while or ask AI, and you're going to have a list of questions to ask that. So I advise to look at the big picture, not just at the bottom line number.
So, say two brands, same industry, comparable numbers. What's that gut check moment? Brand A, brand B. If you were buying, what's going to push you more to one of them than the other?
You just said it, Charles. Gut feeling. So like, I learned to listen to my gut feeling. 99% of the time, it's not wrong. If I feel I want to go with this brand, some people saying I'm gonna go with more mature brand. Okay, that's a great strategy. But keep in mind, if you're working with mature brand, you're probably gonna see the CEO or decision makers once a year at the conference. And I've seen some conferences where people get in line to take a picture with the CEO. Versus emerging brand, I don't have as much support as the bigger brands, but all my franchisees have my cell phone number and they're texting me all the time, and I'm getting back to them immediately. They have a question, we talk right away. I'm telling them, guys, while I can, I'll do that. When I get to 50, 60, 70 numbers, I physically won't be able to do that. So we'll have to schedule time. It will have to become more formal. So you have to decide what's easier for you. Are you more into corporate structure where everything is structured, documented, or you want to go with the flow. There is no right or wrong answer. You have to look at the whole picture.
Max, for Bookskeeping, what's your overview? What the brand is about? Who's a good fit franchisee? And what's the advantages and even challenges?
Well, right now we're the only bookkeeping franchise in the United States, which it's pretty cool. I'm very excited about it, and we just made the Entrepreneur 500 list, which I don't take lightly for an emerging brand to be number 330 in the country. That's great, and they have 150 data points, so I don't know what exactly they look at. I mean, I know some, but not all of the data points. But Bookskeeping made the list. Whoever buys Bookskeeping doesn't have to be an accountant. We will teach them. We have our own proprietary 3, 6, 9, 12 training model where whoever buys the Bookskeeping franchise, on top of the initial 2-week training at Bookskeeping University, they get 3 months of accounting school, 6 months of no minimum royalties, 9 months of sales training with life coach, and 12 months of executive coaching. So the person who provides executive coaching, she's my co-founder. She's a PhD. She works for PepsiCo, for other big brands, and charging thousands of dollars. All my franchisees and employees getting it for free for a year. So training is huge for us. Again, I say that you have to be numbers friendly. Somebody who is a history major and never seen financial statement in their life, maybe it's not a brand for them. But an executive from a company, I have a successful franchisee. He was an executive with American Express. So we do have CPAs who buy Bookskeeping, and it's great. But let's be honest, most of the CPAs, most of the accountants are not good salespeople. So then we concentrate more on business development because they get the trade right away. They don't need our training. They can train us, but they don't know how to sell, how to talk to people. So we spend more time on breaking through in this field.
And then Max, so could be a home operated business, lower startup
It,
costs.
it is a home operated business. Our startup cost with the 3 months required funds, probably $15,000 more on top of the franchise fee because it's a very inexpensive business. So you run it from home, you should have a phone, a computer, a printer, and that's about it. So no equipment is required, and it is a home-based business. So it's a very inexpensive, and we're SBA approved. So people get loan within 3 weeks because the banks we work with, they're pretty good in approving us.
So I guess for every service business, right? If you're not brick and mortar, not a retail location, I'd assume the biggest challenge and opportunity is customer acquisition and sales.
Yes, for sure, because we do provide them staff to do the work. If they want to, we can provide them fully trained staff to do the actual bookkeeping. So they can be just a quarterback, signing up the client and communicating with the client on a monthly basis. So majority of their time should be spent on sales and business development. We do have franchisees that want to do the bookkeeping themselves, and I respect that. Every franchisee that we have has a different goal in life and different pattern. One of my most successful franchisee, she just likes working 4 hours a day. She's saying no to business right now. She likes volunteering at her daughter's school. She likes her daily yoga. And we talk about it all the time. She said, yeah, I know I can triple my business, but I like my lifestyle. Her husband is doing pretty well financially. She goes, give me a few years. My daughter gets older. I'll do it. But now I'm good. So I can't make her to, triple the business, but she knows she can. I know she can. So everybody chooses their own goals, and we build their roadmap accordingly.
Max, when you look back on the journey, you enter this world, decide to franchise, you're growing, you have your franchisees. What are some of the lessons you've learned along the way, and what are the challenges ahead that you're planning for?
Never stop learning, because I believe when you stop growing and learning, you die. So I'm going to Frank Camp. Besides, I love having cigar with you. I also appreciate the learnings that I get and hanging out with other people. And I go to other conferences as well. And I'm always taking classes. I'm always learning. I mean, AI is the huge deal right now. So I actually dedicate 30 minutes a day to learn AI. Do I stick with it every day? No. But, if I get 50 or 70% done what I plan, I considered as successful. So that's one advice. Don't think you're the smartest one in the room. See what other people are doing, but make a decision yourself. So only because somebody says that's how I'm going to do it, I'm not going to necessarily do it. I have my own vision, but I'll listen to other people's point of view. I'll always ask questions from you, from Nick, because I want to see what other people are doing and how they're doing it. So my advice, just continue learning literally every day and adjust. People ask me, hey, AI is taking over the world, which I think it's overstated. So I don't think it's that bad. But are you afraid that bookkeeping will go away? And I'm not afraid. I actually think AI is a friend, because what was taking us 5 hours before, now taking us 2 hours. And I don't even have to use AI. Intuit is great and updating the QuickBooks Online all the time, so it just takes less. But instead of increasing our prices, and that's what competition is doing, we're actually decreasing our prices and taking a bigger market share. So we now do bookkeeping for over 110 franchise brands in the US, some emerging ones, some large ones. But our nearest competitor is probably double or triple our price, because they're like, well, we were making X on this client. Now there is inflation, so we need to increase our price by 10%. We are actually coming down and we're giving them great price. And also we're staying in our own sandbox. Like, we don't do everything. We just do the bookkeeping.
I think we are in a period of time, and I don't want to look back on this and have underestimated it, but I do worry if CEOs and founders and leaders, if many of us, myself included, if we're over indexing on AI and the transformation. I mean, we're a law firm, right? So we have our own software systems that we've built, and we're now updating them. And I guess it's natural. There may be an over index on this, but I love your focus on AI in terms of reducing customer costs and just adding more customers.
And look, also what I've started doing recently, I realized that, when you need an heir, you help yourself first and then you help others. For a while, I was just pushing it on my team. We have to use AI, and they hated me because you have to use it. You have to try new things. And they were doing it, trying, sometimes reluctantly. But I said, you know what? I'm going to lead by example. So I'm going to see how my life is affected, and I'll make sure my team knows about it. So I was just, what was taking us 4 or 5 hours to do territory setup for Bookskeeping, now it takes minutes. So I'm just buying myself, and I was the one doing it because, it's a brand, relatively new franchise. I want to do it myself. So I just bought myself 4 or 5 hours of time. We just did the proposal for a large organization that has thousands of clients, and they want us to do bookkeeping for their clients. We've got, with AI help, 153 pages that had that many questions. When I first read the questions, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to kill myself. I just can't see myself working with that many, questions. But with AI help, yes, it still took me 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. But without AI, it would take me a week.
Max, this brings up another topic. So when you're negotiating with larger organizations or with franchisors, are those opportunities also provided to your franchisees in Bookskeeping, those accounts?
Yes, for sure. So at the minimum, the franchisees of these brands that are in their territory, they get automatic introductions. But sometimes we get a franchisor and they make us mandatory and give us 40 clients, 40 franchisees right away. I don't want to hire that fast. So just take 2 of my franchisees, say, hey, how about I'll give you 20, I'll give you 20. And they find geographically, and they are loving it. But we not guaranteeing that we're going to give them all these clients. Look, it's just a cherry on a cake. We're teaching them how to fish. We're teaching them how to get the clients. That's why networking and sales is the big part of the training. But it's not really sales, it's business development, it's relationship building, because you don't want the client for 1 month. If they become a client for 1 month and then they leave, you just wasted your time and resources.
What's helpful, though, is with franchise brands, as Bookskeeping grows, that network effect, right? The information systems, but also the ability to service these large accounts and have that network available. That's a
And our experience working with, like, for example, we do work with 3 or 4 painting franchises. So when we get an emerging franchisor who is in the painting business, we can help them to set up the chart of accounts, give an advice. And look, I know I'm missing out, but we do not charge for it. Our services there are completely free. So like I have a director of accounting, it's her job to spend time with the franchisor. And then once a month, she has meetings with the franchisor discussing how their franchisees are doing and, you know, what the challenges are and so on and so forth. Not every franchisor takes us up on this offer, but we are offering it to everybody. It doesn't cost them anything. We're just getting paid by a franchisee.
as you think about the next 5 years, Max, what's the game plan? Or 5 years from now, where do you want bookkeeping to be?
So I want bookkeeping. We're at 18 right now. I want bookkeeping to be at least 75 franchisees, maybe 100. But I want to take my time to do it. So we are working on the program right now that actually Mainland help us to develop. I mean, I just had this idea, ran it by Nick, and we discussed it, and he liked it, and he gave me some input, and I just started working with it. But the idea is, and we are very close to announcing it, is that we will have clients that our franchisee will have an opportunity to buy from day one, and they're going to use our employee. They will get an SBA loan, and after the payment for the employee, payment for royalties, and SBA payment, they're still going to be cash flow positive from day one. I mean, not that many can be cash flow positive from day one. You literally close today, you start August 1st, and then starting August 1st, you see money in your account while you're learning how to work on the client. So this is I think, an awesome program, and we are rolling it out right now, and we already have quite a few people interested. So if and when it's gonna go live, I think we will see a huge growth for the brand, because it's just changing the whole concept. And that's actually the idea that I've heard in one of the conferences. One franchisor who sold hundreds of franchises, and he's been selling his brands for a while. He's a very well-known guy. There was a roundtable, and he just said, well, what makes a franchisor successful is how fast his franchisees are cash flow positive. And it just stuck with me. And I was looking for this idea, and then that's how we came up with this plan.
I mean, and that gets to the heart of franchising, right? And I think the more you're in the franchising world, you realize that what grows franchise systems is not franchise sales, it's successful franchisees, right? Max, as you think about it, and as we wrap up, in an ideal world, not that they'd be an automatic fit, but what type of individual would benefit from having a conversation about bookkeeping?
Look, somebody who is a corporate refugee, somebody who is either lost their job or about to lose their job. And let's be honest, because of AI, Charles, we will see that happening. People will be losing their jobs. I mean, we can argue about it. I don't know at what rate, but it will happen. And then I think anybody would have an opportunity to talk to me, and we can figure something out. As you know, I also own a franchise brokerage. So if somebody not a good match for bookkeeping, I can help them to choose from over 600 different franchises I work with. And my service is completely free. We only get paid if somebody buys a franchise, which, by the way, I share part of my commission with my candidates, because I believe in giving it back. I give them the money from my commission, and I pay for 9 months of their sales training out of my own dime. So anybody who is leaving the corporate world, and funny enough, anybody who just about to graduate college, because I do believe that what I learned, that you have to finish college, you have to pay your dues working for the big firm before you can become your own, boss, doesn't work anymore because of AI, because of year 2026. You can be more successful. I always tell parents, you help your kid for 5 years. Help them one more time. Just help them to buy this franchise location. And by the time his friends are moving to the second job, this person already has 2 or 3 locations, and let's see who is more successful.
Max, as a dad, I completely agree. I have 2 sons. They've both graduated college, both in banking or corporate world, doing well. But I do think about many of the brands our firm represents, whether it's a service-based business, and you have to question if you skipped college and took that money to invest in a business and had an individual that is self-learning, right? You don't need college it could put you on a very interesting trajectory. And your advice, even after college, like, it makes a big difference. The funny thing is too, that even if the business failed, probably would be the pathway to become a multi-millionaire, those lessons learned. So I think everyone gets, myself included years ago, I think we get too inoculated by being in a corporate job, and it takes away opportunity.
For sure. I mean, and it just gave us the feeling of security until we would lose the job because there was a layoff. I mean, you're at somebody's mercy. Yes, you can have the best job in the world, but it's beyond your control. You can lose this job tomorrow for a
Right.
different reason.
Max, I appreciate the conversation. It's interesting because everything you said, take it for what it's worth for me, but Max is a genuine guy. And, it's funny, Max, because over the years, I would see you at the conferences and see you being in the room, learning and very polite and asking great questions and helping others. And I'm just glad we got to do this. I'm looking forward to the next conference and the next cigar. But Max, I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you're doing.
Charles, thank you so much. And thank you for your expertise and for your wisdom. I really appreciate that.